My A1C was 7.1. My cholesterol's never been high. My blood sugar in the mornings, for some reason, my highest readings are in the morning, right? This morning, my fasting blood sugar, which is going to be the highest for the day, was 105. I'm 55 years old, and I have a 6-year-old daughter, right? So I would get up in the morning, drop her off at school, then I would swing by to Starbucks and get a venti, and I would have a breakfast burger, which has 2 beef patties, cheese, it's got potatoes. It's like a heart attack in a bun, right? And that's what I have for breakfast 5 days a week. And then I would head to the office, right? I would eat that on my way to the office, and then during lunch, we go out and get your average, burgers, Chinese, whatever. There was no thought given to nutritional content or caloric content, nothing. I was in the Marine Corps, then I was in law enforcement for 21 years, right? And then I went from running twice a day for fun to eventually deteriorating over a period of, 25, 30 years because of job stress. And, we find every excuse not to eat well and not to exercise. And next thing I know, I'm 6'3", 280 pounds. So I started getting severe headaches. It wasn't good. I knew there was something wrong. In May of this year, I 2-3 times a week, I was getting headaches where I couldn't get out of bed. So I went to the doctor. The doctor who was covering that day said, why don't you go ahead and I'm going to have you do an A1C, because back in December you were 6.7. So sure enough, I went in, and on May 29th, I got the call telling me that I was diabetic, type 2. And at that point, it's like, what do I do now? So I get online and start trying to find solutions, right? That involve, eating lean protein, quote unquote, right? It wasn't good. It didn't feel right. And all of a sudden I get a text message from my sister with a link to a presentation, and it happens to be you and Cyrus at, I guess, some medical center. And I sit there and I listen to the whole 50-minute presentation. I'm sitting there going, that's it. It makes sense, right? So I went to your website, and this was May 29th. 2 weeks later, on June 17th, you had the retreat up in Idlewild. I immediately got on the phone to my wife and I said, do we have the money? She says, go. Between the time that I was diagnosed and the time that I became aware of you guys, my online research said, cut out all carbs, right? It was eating high fat, low carb. I showed up and you jumped out of the door and was carrying my bag, and I'm like, well, wait a minute, this guy's way energetic, right? The first evening there, it was shocking to me because I had never met anyone who had type 1 diabetes, or they had dealt with type 2 diabetes for a long time. And I'm telling you that type 1 diabetics became my heroes, right? Because these folks are dealing with the same stresses that I am and having to monitor their bodies 24/7. The most shocking part was the first morning, right? When I come out and I see tubs of fresh fruit everywhere, right? Eat as much as you can. I'm going, holy Christ, I'm not supposed to be eating this, right? And I said, I want to eat as fast as I can so I can have some more before we go to the first class. And I'm going through this bowl, and I'm saying, holy, I can't eat anymore, right? You get full with nutritious, hydrating, incredibly tasting food. I think I consumed 135 grams of carbs for breakfast, right? Then we had an hour class, and then we went to exercise. And the exercise, mind you, it was to the point where I was on the ground, I couldn't get up, right? And not because it was incredibly hard, it was because I was incredibly out of shape. And then all of a sudden, I think you or Cyrus said, group test, right? So I get up and I drag my behind over to the side, and I test my blood, and it's actually lower than before breakfast. And that was the moment where it clicked. I said, I stepped over to the side, looked up at the beautiful sky and said, it's this simple. The change was immediate. I was there less than 24 hours, and my blood sugar after eating 130 grams of carbs was lower than when I woke up. I'm in better shape today, a few months after I will go into the retreat, than what I was 20 years ago. You eat lettuce and you go, it's actually sweet, right? Because I've never tasted lettuce before. When I did have a little bit of salad, it was covered in oily dressing, right? I think making a plan and actually putting things in writing really helped a lot for discipline purposes. And you basically commit yourself to something once you write it down, right? So I got home, I bought the fruit. My wife was excited. She's been on the plan ever since. We had to buy additional racks for our kitchen so we could pile up all the fruit we buy on a weekly basis. We started going to the farmer's market and stocking up on fruit that I hadn't eaten, passion fruit. Everything is available. You open our fridge at home, it's packed full of stuff, and nothing contains animal products. It's incredible. I thought it was going to be difficult, and it's been incredibly easy because I haven't deprived myself of what I like to do, which is eating, right? When I got to the retreat, my A1C was 7.1. My cholesterol's never been high. My blood sugar in the mornings, for some reason, my highest readings are in the morning, right? This morning, my fasting blood sugar, which is going to be the highest for the day, was 105. When I went to my appointment, I walked in and my doctor says, "What the hell," right? Because before I went in, she opened up my file and they had weighed me and taken my blood pressure. Because mind you, I was on high blood pressure medicine. My blood pressure was normal. My weight was down 30 pounds. I've gone from a size 44 that I had to suck my belly in to button my pants. Now my 40s are falling off of me. And I promised myself that I wasn't going to buy any more clothes because pretty soon I'll be at a 38. Every morning I get up at 4:45 so that I can start working up at 5. And I work from 5 to 6 a.m. every morning. And it's not a sacrifice. It's not difficult. We cook oatmeal. We cook rice and lentils and wild rice and black rice in a big pot for the whole week. We prepared our food ahead of time. I cook the vegetable soup, and then I add a ton of rice, lentils, and beans. And it's a thick soup that I eat every night. My wife, myself, and my daughter, we go through about, without exaggeration, at least 50 bananas a week. We put it in shakes. We eat them in fruit salads, just everything we can get our hands on. Even after I eat a large meal, my blood sugar doesn't go up. I don't even worry about it anymore. I know that, my doctor says, well, you have to maintain this lifestyle. I go, it's not about maintaining anything. This is my lifestyle, right? And my brothers dropped 40 pounds. He joined me. My sister joined me. My wife joined me. 2 colleagues at work have joined me. You don't have to be a diabetic to get the benefits of this way of living. You don't have to be sick to get healthier. Don't hesitate. Please do it, because you're not tied to a contract. Try it. If you don't like it, leave it. But you won't leave, though.